Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. You know, last week we took just a little bit of time and talked about the difference between appreciation and recognition. If you recall, recognition is where you recognize somebody for something that they've done. Appreciation is where you appreciate somebody for who they are. Now, since that last week and thinking about that, it's been like the red car syndrome. You know, I call it the red car syndrome. If you buy a red car, all of a sudden everybody has a red car. Well, all of a sudden I could see instances of appreciation and instances of recognition. And there was a clear distinction between both of them. At times they both converged together. I watched a show with Lori the other night called Undercover Boss. And one of the undercover bosses was Deion Sanders, okay? And so Deion Sanders, you know who I'm talking about, primetime, you know, former NFL player, now an NFL broadcaster. And you can love him or hate him, doesn't matter. But in watching this show, you had to love what he did. So he went undercover, not as an undercover boss, but as an undercover applicant who wanted to learn how to he went to two different football teams. He wanted to learn how to build his own youth football team for kids in the projects. And he wanted to learn from somebody that was doing it. And there was a camera crew that wanted to follow him to see how that would go. And also one choral group. And so what happened there, you know, in Undercover Boss, if you've ever watched it, they get to the secrets they get to learn, but they also learn more about the person and who they are and their struggles and their challenges. And it brought Deion to tears. I tell you, it brought Lori and I to tears as we watched this. But in the end, sitting down with a young man that had been volunteering his time, setting up chairs, putting things down to create music, you know, that he just did his part to help in a program that was providing a chorus for the homeless. You wouldn't know it to look at this guy or to hear him talk. Very educated, very sharp, young man, college age, had been living and still lives underneath a bridge. And then Deion, when he heard his story, he's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. You know, and so, but still he would dedicate his time and everything he was doing. So there was plenty to recognize him for. He was going to school. He was at the University of Texas, and he was working to get a degree as a lawyer, but he was sacrificing, skipping meals. He had holes in his shoes, flip-flops. I mean, so as you look at that whole thing, and you wonder, wow, here he is, you know, and so Deion's interacting with him, and he's just so impressed. Well, on the other side of it, too, and some of the other meetings was a coach that was, you know, couldn't make his electric bill because he's spending money on these kids to keep them going because he sees that as the only solution for them to be able to get out of the projects, to have something with their life. And so he misses his rent payment. They had medical bills. They had other issues that needed to be handled. But yet he was there and enthusiastically showing him with love, really, I mean, how to do it. So at the end of, you know, Undercover Boss, you know that they meet with the different individuals. And so, you know, Deion was crying like a baby because but you could see the clear distinction. There was plenty to recognize them for their achievements, their sacrifices and what they were doing, but there was even more to appreciate what they were doing. You know, it's an interesting thing in life. You can look around and there's plenty of people that are dedicated and deserve tons of recognition. But there's even more people that deserve appreciation. I have another client this last week that was getting ready to recognize some key people in his company. They had achieved so much this last year. It was their best year ever, and these people had worked so hard. But he decided that he was going to do more than just recognize them. He was going to appreciate them for who they are. So he took time to sit down and think about each person that he was recognizing. He got him a nice gift. It was like, it's not a trophy. It was something very personal, something that has a great story behind it. Maybe that's for another time. But he gave them that to recognize them with their spouses there. And then he took time to look them in the eye and tell them what he appreciated about them. What do you think they will appreciate or remember most? What do you think made the most difference for them and their family as they sat there? Yeah, appreciation. So I want you to think about this with your children, with your employees, with your coworkers. How can you appreciate? And don't focus just on recognition. Yes, recognize the important things that they do, but learn to appreciate people for who they are. It's a lesson that I'm trying to learn Thank you for letting me share it with you. Have a very meaningful week. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.